I recently came across an interview with Benny Blanco. Now, if you don't know who that is, he's a hit songwriter. There's like a running joke that he's written every song ever. And in this interview, he talks about how it's sometimes really easy to write a hit song with these artists. Sometimes it comes in like 10, 15 minutes and the song essentially is done. But the hard part for him was doing all the producing stuff, adding all the extra sounds, choosing the layers, choosing the kick drum, agonizing over which snare sound to use. And he mentions how he asked his mom once, "Hey, do you ever notice the kick drum sound in these songs?" And his mom, of course, was like, "What does that mean?" But even more surprising than that was a story he told about how he had written and produced a song and they needed a radio edit bounced out for this song. And he was away traveling, so someone else had to do it. And they made this edit and somehow they bounced it out with the vocals off by almost a full bar, like off time. And he talks about how he was riding in a taxi in Philadelphia or something and heard this song come on the radio and heard that the vocals were off, but they were late by almost a full bar. And he was like, "How did this happen? What's going on?" But the crazier thing is that nobody noticed and nobody cared, and the song was blowing up on the radio. And this really hit home because I've often felt this paradox where there are so many details and small decisions that go into every production and mix, but how much of it really matters? Now, there's a concept called the 80-20 rule, which says that 80% of the results come from only 20% of the effort or the input. And you see this 80-20 rule play out in so many different areas of life. Like, for example, of all the money paid out in salaries to pro athletes, 20% of those athletes are eating up 80% of that money. 80% of the total streams an artist has probably come from only 20% of their songs. Or in a stock portfolio, 80% of the returns are coming from only 20% of those holdings. And as engineers and mixers, we need this reminder sometimes. Like, 80% of what we're obsessing over in the mix probably doesn't matter. You could take a song and then you could swap out 10 different kick and snare sample combinations. You could swap out 20 different guitar tones and do the song 100 different ways. And when it comes to the ultimate commercial success of the song, it probably doesn't make a difference at all. And I've had that frustrating experience personally. Oftentimes, the mixes that I get complimented most on from my discography are the ones that I wish that I could do again and do better. For example, I made this album for a band called Dead and Divine, and for well over 10 years, I've had a hard time even listening to that album, even though I really like the songs, because the snare drum sound just drives me crazy. I wish I could go back and remix that and make the snare sound better. But guess which album I get complimented the most about the drums on? And of course it's this way, because it's always about the songs. And I know that when someone tells me they love my mix, what they're really saying is that they love the songs enough to even then pay attention to the mix at all. And the more they love the songs, the more forgiving and complimentary they're going to be towards my mix. And when I think about records that are timeless for me, like bands I discovered in high school that I still listen to today, well, when I listen to them now, I'm often like, that's not really a great mix. But I still love the records. I still listen to them. And back when I was a kid just discovering music, I didn't think about the mix quality. I didn't care about it at all. I just loved the songs and I was eager to listen to whatever the band put out. So where does this leave you and all of that effort that you put in? Well, this is the paradox. Like, I actually do believe that the mix quality matters. There's a reason why some people get paid 10 grand to mix a song, while other guys get paid $100 to mix a song. At the end of the day, this is business, and the guys who get paid the most and who are the most in demand, well, that's because they have a consistent track record of their mixes being at the top of the charts. So yes, your mix has to be good enough. I do believe that there is a standard, I call it the pro line, and if you want your music to be listened to by the general public, you've got to hit that pro line. But once you're above that pro standard, it can sound any dang way you want. Think about this. Nickelback has sold 50 million albums, and I think they have some of the best sounding rock mixes out there. But does it really matter whether it was CLA or Andy Wallace or Randy Staub who mixed it? Like, they're all going to do it differently, but either way, it's still going to sound great, and it's still going to be a hit regardless. But if it just sounded like some amateur dude made a demo in his basement, then maybe no one would listen to it. Now, it's not really easy to hit that pro standard. Like, that's the point of this YouTube channel. That's the point of my premium training courses. It's to get you to that pro standard. But a lot of people are just on the wrong side of this 80-20 rule, focusing 80% of their time and effort on stuff that doesn't matter. And this is a common theme you've heard on my channel. Like, stop obsessing over stupid stuff. All those little tiny EQ notches that you just worked out, well, they might sound better to you when you A/B it, but guess what? They don't matter. That's why I'm constantly saying less is more. Mix faster, focus on the big picture, be bold, make exciting mix decisions, bring the song to life with automation and make things stand out. Remember that Benny Blanco story with the vocals being off, and ask yourself, if I bypassed half of the plugins in this mix session, would anybody notice? Your ultimate job as a mixer is to maximize the impact of a song. And that is not something that you can measure technically with meters and frequencies. You can only measure that by the response and the feeling it evokes in the listener. And that's the point. Figure out what the song is supposed to feel like, and then use the sounds to bring that feeling out. Now, this doesn't mean that you're careless about how things sound. For me, I'm striving after excellence. I want my stuff to be the best it can be. I want it to compete commercially. I want people to listen to it, and I certainly don't want my mix to distract from the feeling and message of the song. Just like you, I have certain tastes and tendencies about the sounds that I like, and some other people happen to like those sounds too, and that's why they hire me. But the more I do this, the more I realize that there are truly only a few things that actually matter, and a lot of them don't even have anything to do with mixing. I could keep riffing on this idea, but I want to leave you to ponder this paradox. You have a lot of power with your sounds, and in some ways it really does matter a lot, but at the same time, beyond a certain threshold, it really doesn't matter. It reminds me of a video I published about why you shouldn't worry so much about your low end, which is the thing everyone seems to obsess over, right? It's actually the mid-range that matters, and you can watch that video here, or if you're interested in checking out that Benny Blanco interview, it's right here.